Tonight, an Eastern Conference clash. The Legends Cup champion Chicago BLISS come into the heartland of America to battle the OMAHA Heart. Next.
I just want to be given the chance.
You were the pioneers that built women's football.
The opportunity to succeed. Or even to fail.
You are the league of their own.
Figure out what the you need to do mentally to be able to sacrifice everything for the girl next to you.
You better knock the shit out of it.
Put the hurt on them first. Keep them on the ground. Stick your foot on their throat.
The LFL has arrived at downtown Omaha, Nebraska. Welcome inside the booth of LFL Football Night. As I said, we are in Omaha, Nebraska for an Eastern Conference matchup. The Chicago BLISS coming into town to battle the OMAHA Heart. Now with Omaha, this is a team 1-2 on the outside looking in. They're not headed to the playoffs. We'll see what they have to play for tonight. For Chicago, this is a team with a win tonight will shore up the #1 seed in the Eastern Conference and have an August 20th date in the Eastern Conference Championship with the Atlanta Steam. So what does Chicago really have to play for tonight?
Well, they simply haven't played a lot of football yet. This is only their third game of the season. They need all the football they can get going into that conference championship game against Atlanta. And they have a new quarterback, a first-year quarterback in Chicago, Jane Caldwell. She needs all the snaps she can get. She has a new offense. She's looking good, but she needs time.
Yeah, Jane Caldwell is a developing project here in Chicago for sure. On the Omaha side of the ball, as I said, they're 1-2, not headed for the playoffs, but they did make some big moves this offseason that is paying out a little bit here in season, namely the re-signing of head coach Dante Allen. And what has Dante Allen done? He's gone back and brought back all the former vets that really had some success here in Omaha, namely Jacqueline Good, who seems to be the heartbeat of this defense and has led this team in tackles and the league previously. So a big addition there. This defense tonight, Bobby Hugo, will be tested against a sure Chicago offense.
Speaking of that Chicago offense, they're playing without their star receiver tonight, A.J. Johnson. But this night, the game tonight and next week's game against Denver is simply tune-ups going into a conference championship game. But the unsung hero for Chicago this year is the quarterback coach, Matt Pike, a former standout of Purdue. Last year, he coached up Jacinda Barkley, and her first year she went in and won the Legends Cup with Chicago. This year, she has the fast-paced quarterback, Jane Caldwell, on the same track. We'll see if she can do it tonight.
That'll do it for us here at the pregame show. It is time to lace them up. Can Omaha shock the LFL world with a win over Chicago? Say it with me. Kickoff is next. Back to LFL Football Night. A nice crowd inside the Ralston Arena for the Omaha Heart versus the Chicago BLISS. That is Shalyn Durham. That'll get us underway. A nice looking kickoff that'll sail into the end zone. Tamar Fennell deep, but will not return.
Really looking forward to see quarterback Jane Caldwell and what she can do tonight against Omaha.
Caldwell coming over from Los Angeles via free agency. In fact, we talked to her about following in the footsteps of Heather Furr and Jacinda Barkley.
There have been two prior quarterbacks in the Chicago franchise before me, Heather and Jacinda, and they're both great quarterbacks. They've won championships here, but I feel like I'm above them, and I'm going to lead this franchise to a new championship this year.
All right, on, ready, wait.
You really got to love her confidence and what she thinks she can do with the BLISS. Her stats right there, not so great so far. Only 6 out of 23, 2 picks. She needs to pick that up tonight.
Jane Caldwell trying to gain some momentum headed into the postseason. This will be a 1st and 10 play and not wasting any time. Connecting with Tamar Fennell on a 35-yard touchdown strike.
Wow, Jane Caldwell silencing her critics, including me, on the first play of the game. Hitting Tamar Fennell on a straight streak pattern on top of Macy and Sarah. What a pass, what a call, and what a throw by Caldwell going deep. People aren't even sitting down, and Omaha's down 6-0.
That ball was a little underthrown, but Tamar Fennell making a great adjustment to the ball and taking it in. Not a great sign for this Omaha defense early on.
Not at all. I love it, though, from Caldwell because we've gone after her all year. She can't throw a deep ball. First play of the game, bam, she goes deep.
Jane Caldwell feeling more and more confident in this offense with every rep. This will be an extra point attempt, and look at Caldwell. Never shy to call her own number. The 5'7", 155-pound quarterback takes it in. That'll take Chicago's lead up to 8-0. Now time to see if Omaha can answer with their young quarterback, Alex Drake, who's had a lot of injuries this season. In fact, we sat down and talked to her about it.
Honestly, I think being injury prone just has to do with bad luck for me. Unfortunately, it just keeps hitting me every game. But, I mean, it's still in my mind going onto the field. I want to stay healthy. That's my goal, so I can help my team.
Ready, break.
When I spoke to Drake before the game, very interesting. She was a free agent out of New England. She had a chance to sign with Chicago. She passed and went to Omaha to try to develop a younger team.
A first down handoff. That is Shalyn Durham trying to gain the edge. That'll be good for 3 yards. Part of a rebuilt offense. Let's meet the starters for Omaha.
Sarah Robinson, your center.
Jamie Lundberg, wide receiver.
Lindsey Burse, tight end. Christine Black, tight end. Lindsey Howell, wide receiver.
Shalyn Durham, running back.
Alex Drake, your quarterback.
A lot of those injuries occurred to Drake because of lack of protection up front. Tonight, Robinson, Burse, and Black, they have to protect their quarterback.
Another 3-yard carry by Shalyn Durham. Very tough running inside this athletic defense led by that young lady, Kristen Morrison. One of the more faster defenses in the LFL.
Kristen Morrison showing why she was the defensive player of the year last year in the LFL. Already 2 plays, 2 tackles.
A 3rd and 4 from the shotgun, complete in the flat. That is to the big target, Christine Black. And that may be good enough for an Omaha first down. Now let's meet the starters for Chicago.
Dominique Collins, corner.
Tamar Fennell, cornerback.
Allie Alberts, free safety.
Kim Perez, strong safety.
Kristen Morrison, middle linebacker.
Marissa Galladay, defensive end.
Toya Jerome, defensive end.
All fantasy defensive end Chantel Taylor not playing tonight because of a broken toe. Toya Jerome taking her spot. She needs to play big tonight in place of Chantel.
Omaha seems to be committed to the run. And number 12, Shalyn Durham, that was a 2-yard carry. Tackled by Allie Alberts.
Well, that was a game plan by head coach Dante Allen. He's also the offensive coordinator. Take some heat off of Drake by opening up that run game. They're doing it so far. Not big gains, but they're moving the football.
That'll set up a 2nd and 8 ball on the Chicago side of the field at about the 22-yard line. Lindsey Howell in motion and will get the reverse handoff from Drake. A great-looking open field tackle by Kristen Morrison.
We mentioned at the wide receiver position, Omaha is lacking speed. It showed right there. A great call, a reverse to Howell, but she doesn't have straight line speed. She couldn't outrun anybody.
That'll set up a 3rd and 5. We talked about Morrison becoming the best middle linebacker in all of the LFL. With the retirement of Danica Brace, you can legitimately make that argument.
She's playing great football. This entire defense, Coach Keith Hack said it's his #1 defense of all time.
And there is Morrison on cue, slamming Drake to the ground. You saw the athleticism of number 7. Let's listen in. We've got her mic'd up.
That's just bad blocking up front. Bad offensive blocking scheme. Kristen Morrison, defensive player of the year. You let her come in scot-free. You can't do that.
That was a loss of 8 yards. Backing up this Omaha offense to its own 23-yard line. And a tall task now, 4th and 13 for Alex Drake. Drake rolling right into the flat and well over the head of Shalyn Durham.
Bad read there by Alex Drake. You need 13 yards. She throws it over the head of a short receiver. Had no chance of getting that first down.
We've got our first media timeout. Chicago up 8-0.
Jamie fucked up on that one pattern. She got in the way of that whole play. It was wide open. Fuck.
Oh, no, that's why I didn't throw it.
Yeah, Jamie, shit.
Back to LFL football night and a listen into that Omaha bench.
This is Drake's first year with this Omaha offense. If she could have held on the ball a little bit more, Jamie Lundberg broke open in the secondary, but she threw it quick.
A 1st and 10, Chicago at the 23 of Omaha. This is a quick handoff. Javille Thompson getting the edge. A good-looking 15-yard carry. Let's meet the starters for Chicago.
Ferrari Harris, the running back.
Shabria Civilian, wide receiver.
Tamar Fennell, wide receiver.
Quincy Hewitt, offensive line.
May Gamble, tight end.
Brittany Wilson, center.
Jane Caldwell, quarterback.
I love watching this 1-2 combination at running back. You have Javelle Thompson, then one of the all-time greats, Christelle the Ferrari Harris. Fun to watch those two.
Javelle Thompson, very small in stature, from Linwood, Illinois, but factors a big part of this Chicago offense. In fact, the ball will go back to Thompson, and Thompson getting into the end zone. Touchdown, Chicago.
Again, right up the gut. Jacqueline Good getting blown out by Brittany Wilson, the center. That's twice in a row on this drive. Good got blown away, opened a huge hole. Touchdown, Chicago.
This Omaha defense struggling early. That is the defensive coordinator, Cale Good, often regarded as one of the better minds in the LFL, but his defense is being tested tonight.
Going against one of the great offenses in Chicago, but right now, you could hear a pin drop in this place. Omaha doing nothing on offense or defense.
A 2-point attempt here for Chicago. Caldwell back to pass, a little lofty pass to the corner of the end zone. And that is longtime BLISS member Allie Alberts as Chicago extends its lead to 16-0.
How in the world can this Omaha defense let Allie Alberts that wide open? Nobody covered her. That's easy.
Chicago is known for those release plays, and you could see the anger from Cale Good. They are not protecting the edges well, and as you said, you do not leave a target like Allie Alberts open in the back of the end zone.
Omaha would love to restart this game. Right now, they're getting blown away on both sides of the ball. They're missing coverages. They're missing assignments. Not good football.
A 1st and 10 ball at the 15. Receivers flank to the right and left side of Drake. From the shotgun, a quick release into the flat. That is complete to Shalyn Durham. Great tackle by Allie Alberts.
That's what Omaha has to do. They don't have the speed to go deep over the top of their safeties. They come underneath to Durham, and right now Durham's the only spark they have on the offense.
Allie Alberts showing her worth on both sides of the field. Alberts obviously coming off a suspension in 2016, a vital part of this roster.
Alex Drake, a good read, a cover two. They're going deep. She came underneath with her eyes, completed the football.
1st and 10 handoff, Marissa Mitchell-Riley. Omaha trying to use that speed to get to the outside, no luck. Great tackle that time by Kim Perez.
Kim Perez, Tamar Fennell, Dominique Collins, they have defensive backs that love to tackle the football. A lot of teams have defensive backs who want to run away from the football. Chicago attacks the football.
That was a 6-yard loss. As we said, you're not going to get to the outside edges of this defense. They are very fast, very athletic, led by that young lady. A 3rd and 7 now. Ball at the Omaha 18-yard line. Alex Drake remaining in the shotgun. Now buying time in the pocket, rolling right and throwing out of bounds. I'm not sure if that was intended for Kayla Wigman or Drake was just trying to get rid of it.
Alex Drake has been hit so many times this year that she sees ghosts in the pocket, meaning she thinks people are coming at her and they're not. She had time to stay in the pocket, deliver the football. She moved outside, which created a late pass. Not a good play by Drake.
Another 4th down for this offense, where we're seeing quick strikes and touchdowns on the Chicago side of the ball. This offense struggling to gain any momentum here. Drake from the shotgun, again throwing into the flat and nearly completed. That would have been good enough for a 1st down intended for Marissa Mitchell-Riley.
Mitchell-Riley's got to make this play. It's 4th down. The ball gets through. You have to catch it. Put your hands out and catch the football.
That looked like Dominique Collins did get a hold of Mitchell-Riley. Perhaps that was enough to get her off her route and get a drop ball.
Big players have to make big plays in big games. I say that over and over and over. 4th down and 7, you have to catch that football.
You can see Dante Allen. He won't tell you in person, but you just know it. He can't be happy with the play of Alex Drake this season. And you could see they have constant communication errors. And most of the younger offenses are relying too much on the play cards. They don't know the offense well.
You're exactly right. They have to learn the offense. You shouldn't have discussions like that during the game. That should be in practice. You should execute during the game.
That is a 1st and 10, nearly intercepted. That is exactly what Omaha needed, but Shalyn Durham dropping it.
Caldwell made the wrong read. She had Civilian coming wide open underneath. Would have been an easy 6. She went outside, almost got picked off.
Jane Caldwell, very green at the quarterback position. You have to factor. She only played a year in LFL Australia with the Queensland Brigade and then a season with Los Angeles. In effect, this is only her 3rd year under center.
We mentioned it in the pregame. She just needs reps. It's a new offense, a new team. The more she plays, the better she's going to get.
A 2nd and 10. Caldwell back to pass. Now dumping it off over the middle and to the Ferrari. The engine is revving on number 13.
All day, all motherfucking day. Know my name. Know my name.
Christelle Harris having a little fun with Jacqueline Good. A touchdown for Chicago.
Caldwell makes a great play here. With her eyes, she makes the safeties go deep so she can come underneath to the Ferrari. Makes a great throw. Touchdown, Chicago. Great play by Jane Caldwell.
Christelle Harris not really part of the scheme here offensively, at least not to the degree she's been in previous years. They're catching an underneath reception from Jane Caldwell. And Caldwell now with 2 touchdown passes early in this game.
You got to love that call by offensive coordinator Jim Bruner. Quick post underneath just to get the ball in space to the Ferrari. She does the rest.
Now the 2-point conversion for Chicago. That is Christelle Harris not able to get to the outside. Jacqueline Good and Jamie Lundberg on a great stop. And let's get back to Harris. We talked about her frustration with this offense and her role.
It's most definitely difficult to go from being a complete badass to a role player. However, I'm okay with, being a great teammate and a great team player and going out and beating Omaha tonight. However, like my mom always said, if it's not broke, don't fix it.
That is the voice of a competitor. Arguably the greatest running back ever in the LFL. She wants the football. She wants to play. You spoke about it earlier in the season. Maybe next year she wants out of Chicago.
All indications are that the Ferrari is hightailing it out of town at the end of this season. And just like LeBron, we get to speculate where she'll end up. A 1st and 10 handoff. That is Macy and Sarah. And Sarah breaking through arm tackles. Finally, some sign of life from this offense, a 16-yard carry.
That motor kept running. Chicago thought they had her down. 3 players had her. She breaks free. The biggest play of the night for Omaha. Let's see if they can parlay that.
That will bring it to the end of the 1st quarter. Through 10 minutes of play, Macy and Sarah in Omaha trail it 22-0.
LFL Mobile, giving you access to the gridiron goddesses of the LFL with exclusive photos, videos, live game reporting, and fan promotions. LFL Mobile. Download on your Android or iPhone.
Back to LFL football night, and we have head coach Dante Allen mic'd up.
We need to score here to try to keep this momentum out of their hands. Because defense right now is not doing shit. Like, they're not even trying to stop them. Fuck.
Coach Dante Allen, he needs to be telling the team that, not the other coaches. He's right, the defense is doing nothing, but this is the deepest penetration of the offense had all night in Chicago territory.
That handoff to Melissa Schmidt. And Schmidt, a recent signee, will only gain a yard.
Kristen Morrison, she controls the A-gap and middle of the football field on defense better than anyone in the LFL.
We got to see the speed of Kristen Morrison when she took one to the house earlier this season. A great statured middle linebacker at 5'7", 162 pounds. A handoff this time to the veteran Lindsay Noble. And Noble does get the edge, and that's 5 yards for this offense.
A well-developed play, good blocking up front by the offensive line of Omaha. Noble needed to turn that more vertical up the field. She could have got more yardage.
With Drake struggling with her accuracy, I like the fact that offensive coordinator Dante Allen is really trying to take the burden off of Drake with this run game.
That's what they have to do. Control the football, put points on the board, and stay with Chicago. They don't have an instant offense where they can go, bam, throw a deep ball. This is what they have to do.
Again to Melissa Schmidt, and this time the outstanding rookie defensive end, Marissa Galladay, with the stop.
You got to wonder why they went to Schmidt. They had Noble, who just had a solid run, and Sura had a 19-yard run. Go with the hot back.
Omaha just looking to lead by committee here, as there's no real featured back on that offense. Someone will have to step up, as I said earlier, to take the load off Alex Drake.
Well, it's up to Drake now, 4th and 3. This is where great quarterbacks come through with great plays.
Drake will not have the opportunity, as the snap sailed well over her head, and all Drake could do was throw it into the stands, as Chicago will now take over on downs.
2 big 4th down plays. The center, it wasn't that high. Drake could have come down with it. She expected it lower, but right when they have to come up with a big play, they come up with nothing again.
Center Sarah Robinson, who's been otherwise a very consistent center, sails a ball in a very crucial time there on a 4th and 3. That's head referee Joe Mackey saying that Alex Drake did not get the ball back to the line of scrimmage. So just adding salt onto the wound, as Chicago now takes over at the 12-yard line of Omaha.
Omaha going in, they were deep in Chicago territory. Now Chicago has it deep in Omaha territory.
Caldwell with the crossing pattern. And that is good to Shabria Civilian, and another Chicago touchdown.
That's the previous play we called where Civilian was wide open underneath. She missed her. Coach Matt Pike probably told Caldwell, look for Civilian underneath, wide open. There it is, touchdown Chicago.
There's definitely a soft opening in the middle of that Omaha defense, as we're finding people like Shalyn Durham are dropping back into the safety mode. There does seem to be that little opening just in the secondary.
What was a trip set, a great scheme. You have 2 of them going deep, pushing off the safety in the corner. Then Civilian comes underneath, nobody took her, wide open again for 6.
And we're only into about the 7-minute mark of the second quarter. This game is already blown wide open, 28-0 Chicago. And here's the 2-point attempt into the flat to Christelle Harris. Great open field tackle there by Lindsey Burse.
That's what I'm trying to figure out. That's what I'm trying to figure out.
A lot of talking going on with Christelle Harris, and maybe that's just some of the frustration by Harris, seeing Shabria Civilian, Javille Thompson, and others have success while she continues to struggle a bit.
I think you hit the nail on the head. She is frustrated. Even though they're winning, she used to be the entire offense. She is that good. Now she has to spread the wealth to allow other players.
You can see not even near offensive coordinator Jim Bruner. There's definitely a divide forming there between Christelle Harris and this franchise.
I get it. She's a veteran. Jim Bruner, Coach Keith Hack, if they don't have to play her all the time, that extends her career with the BLISS, and they have the talent to give her a spell now and then.
1st and 10, Alex Drake now facing a 28-point deficit, and this offense is not meant for coming back. From the shotgun into the flat, a lazy pass. That was Drake telegraphing it to Shalyn Durham, and Allie Alberts nearly pick 6.
I don't understand this pass at all. Number one, she's not wide open. Then she throws a lollipop out there instead of fired out there. Allie Alberts almost took that back for 6. Bad play again by Drake.
Drake cannot eyeball her receivers, especially with a defense as good as this Chicago defense.
And if you're going to throw that pass, it's one-on-one coverage. You got to fire a bullet out there right in the chest, not lollipop it like that.
Ball remains at the 15 of Omaha. That is Lundberg in motion. Handoff to Noble. What a tackle by Dominique Collins, one of the better tackling corners in the LFL.
she doesn't get enough credit as she deserves. Probably the #1 cornerback in the league in my eyes. She comes up like that on the run better than anybody. In man-to-man coverage, she is the best.
Omaha has not had success going to the outside with the exception of that Macy and Sarah run. And inside, they get to have Kristen Morrison, so not a lot of available space for this offense. Another poor snap by Sarah Robinson. Drake, all she can do is throw it away. That'll set up a 4th and 9.
With plays like this, sometimes Drake's got to wonder if she picked the right team to come with. She can't even get a good snap to execute a good pass.
I'm not going to beat a dead horse, but that has been a play that has plagued especially the worst teams, the teams like Pittsburgh, Denver, Omaha. That center to quarterback exchange has been horrendous.
And it is all 100% coaching. There does not have to be one mistake on that exchange, but we see it week in, week out with Omaha.
A 4th and 9 from the shotgun into the flat again, Shalyn Durham. Durham trying to use that muscle to get to the sticks. That will not be enough. An 8-yard completion, they needed 9.
Great hustle by Durham. She almost got there by churning those legs. Again, an underneath pass. I still don't know why they don't go to the sticks first and then make the out route and catch the ball and have a first down.
And how about Shabria Civilian? We've seen what she's done on the offensive side of the ball. They're making a big-time 4th down and 9 tackle.
Great play, short of the sticks. Durham was almost there, but she shut it down again. Another stop for the Chicago defense.
And Omaha's defense has been defending short fields all night. And again, in a bad situation, as Chicago takes over at the 24, this is Jane Caldwell showing you those wheels and getting down to about the 4-yard line. She did play a bit of running back with the Atlanta Steam, so one of the more mobile quarterbacks in the game.
You can see her gaining confidence play by play. She's become a dangerous quarterback, throwing the ball, and we knew she could run, but if she keeps this up, she could be exactly what quarterback coach Mac Pike designed.
That was a 20-yard carry by Caldwell. Now setting up this offense inside the 4-yard line. A pair of receivers flanked to the right side. And the handoff goes to Javille Thompson. And why not? Thompson gets into the end zone for another Chicago touchdown.
Watch this kick out block by Meg Gamble. Absolutely destroys Christine Black, opens up a monster hole, and they go in for another touchdown. That's what good teams have, blocking up front.
This Omaha defense now has given up 34 points. That is the leader, and we talked to her about what it will take to turn this team around.
I'd like to leave this season going into next year with people returning. It's always been a struggle for Omaha to have the vets come back and build and build and build. We always have a great rookie class, but experience is everything. So for next season, I hope everyone returns and we just keep building and making this franchise something special.
We have been on Omaha all night. They do have a solid core. All they need is a couple explosive players to come in and they'll be okay.
A good-looking play there by Jamie Lundberg. The score will remain 34-0. Getting back to Jacqueline Good. That is one of the reasons she came back. She wanted to bring back the nucleus of Lindsey Burse, Kelsey Lane, Sarah Robinson, and with the addition of an Alex Drake and several other rookie pieces, they felt they'd have a better season than they're having right now. But I think it all goes back to not having an entire offseason together.
And they build up a lot of confidence by playing lesser teams. Tonight against a good team like Chicago, their reality check just bounced.
And speaking of bouncing, that ball sails into the crowd. I think Drake's completed more passes to fans than members of this offense tonight.
She's late on her passes because she's not stepping up. Again, she's so used to getting hit. She threw that one going backwards. It was late and into the crowd again.
A 2nd and 10 now for Omaha. Ball at their own 15-yard line as we near the 2-minute mark of the first half. In a game, quite frankly, that we expected to be far more competitive than 34-0. A 2nd and 10, another low snap. This is a design keeper by Drake. And buying her time, a nice-looking 9-yard gain. That's one way to move the sticks.
She's a big quarterback. They don't run her as much because she got hurt this year twice. That was a great design, a quarterback sweep outside, good lead blocking, just a solid play. They need more of them.
And because of those injuries, you saw a little timidness from Alex Drake toward the end of that play. She had an opportunity to pick up the first down, but it'll be 3rd and 1 here. And that'll take us officially to the 2-minute warning in a game that the Chicago Bliss has controlled throughout. Back for the final 2 minutes of LFL football night here in the first half. Alex Drake and this offense trying to get some points on the board.
We've been on Alex Drake all night. I compare to Troy Aikman, who went 1-15 his first year with Dallas and then became all-pro. She's got the skills. I'd like to see her play with some more talent, though.
A 3rd and 1, that will not get there. They give it to their horse, Shalyn Durham. No gain, a great-looking tackle again by Dominique Collins.
That was all about who wanted it more, about competition. Dominique Collins wanted to stop her more than Durham wanted to get that 1 yard.
So it will remain 4th and 1. From the shotgun, Drake handing it off to Durham. They're going to try the edge and just barely getting there. Allison Alberts a little late over there. That'll be good enough for an Omaha first down.
Barely. Again, Durham ran out of bounds late. Luckily, she got the first down. But again, you mentioned it with the quarterback. If you turn it up, you have a chance to break it. You run out of bounds, you're going nowhere.
1st and 10, the clock does stop. Omaha has a pair of timeouts, so clock really not a factor here. Plenty of time to try to get this into the end zone.
They're playing for pride right now. They're playing at home. They got to get this crowd fired up about something.
34-0, Omaha trailing big and going into the end zone. Just out of bounds. That was intended for Courtney Jensen, the rookie wide receiver.
Again, Drake threw it in the end zone too late. You have to give your receiver a chance to get the ball. You can't throw it through the end zone. Throw it quicker and let her have a chance.
That's been the biggest concern with Drake amongst the injury bug, has been her accuracy.
She has talent. If you watch her warm up, she can throw as good as anybody, but in the games, I don't think she needs more experience, but her accuracy's been off.
2nd and 10, ball at the Chicago 24. This offense has got to get some points here before the half and have some kind of momentum going into the second half. Drake trying to call a timeout there, a bit of confusion. We'll see if they gave Omaha the timeout. The timeout was actually called by the Chicago Bliss.
Hey, let's go 28. Look for Lindsey Howell in the post. Look for your 8. Okay, 28, look for your 8. Okay? Lindsey Howell's running by herself.
That's Dante Allen, the offensive coordinator. This play is set up for number 11, Lindsey Howell at the top of the screen.
Dante Allen's a solid coach, but they need a quarterback coach like Chicago has with Matt Pike. That's what the quarterback Drake needs.
A 2nd and 10, rolling right, looking to Howell down the field. Well covered by Kim Perez, the wily veteran, now in her 6th season with the Chicago Bliss.
See, with that call, Dante Allen not being a quarterback, he said just throw it deep, whatever the coverage is. If you make that read, she's covered, come off it and throw underneath. You just don't throw it anyway.
Alex Drake is acting like an android robot, getting the play from the sideline and applying it, not really thinking within herself and what the defense is allowing her to get.
That's why you need a good offensive coordinator. You get reads and you get progression. If somebody's not open, you come underneath your 2nd and 3rd receiver.
A 3rd and 10, all 3 receivers flanked to the right side of Drake, and Drake taking another shot into the end zone. She's got a tall target in Courtney Jensen, but the ball sailing well out of bounds.
Again, the exact same thing as the last Eve play. She was kind of open. I say kind of because not really, but you have to give her a shot at the football. Throw it earlier, not out of the back of the end zone.
Now Jensen is 5'10", but that ball, she'd have to been 6'7". The accuracy, again, not there for Alex Drake.
It's all timing. You have to throw it quicker, get your drop, boom, throw it. You throw it too late, that's what happens twice in a row now.
Another 4th down for this Omaha offense. That looks to be a motion play to Courtney Jensen. Now Drake keeping it herself and getting pushed nearly over the wall. That will not be enough as Chicago again holds defensively and setting up great field position for their offense.
You can hear a few boos in the crowd right there, and I don't blame them. 4th and 10, you don't run a quarterback sweep to get the yardage, not against this stout Chicago defense.
An interesting position here for Chicago. You're up 34 points with under a minute remaining. Do you go for the jugular here, or do you get into the locker room?
I think they continue with their game plan, try to score points.
When we move the ball, then we end up making mistakes. That's what's happening. Every time we start moving it, something goes wrong.
Dante Allen frustrated with his quarterback and the offense for no points in the first half.
A good-looking Y handoff to Quincy Hewitt, the Aussie. Best friend and roommate of quarterback Jane Caldwell. And you could see the Chicago offense very committed to an upbeat tempo here, wanting to get a few more points on the board here before the half. That is Caldwell from the shotgun. A lot of time in the pocket, now taking off with it, and a lot of green grass ahead of her. A gain of 17 yards.
I know Jackie Good is banged up in the middle, but this is the design play. They have so much talent outside, they go deep, and everybody runs with the receivers. The middle linebacker's got to stay and eyeball the quarterback, especially Jane Caldwell, who can run better than any quarterback, and that's what happens.
Chicago electing to call a timeout here. That's offensive coordinator Jim Bruner. Let's listen into the huddle.
That's right, they'll be released. Outside, run a high route, so run all the way in the corner around to the wall, just in case it breaks down.
Coach Jim Bruner designing a play, coming all the way across, a drag across the back of the end zone. But I like this. This is good experience for Caldwell. The 2-minute drill, I know they're up 34-0, but let's see if she can get points with 25 seconds left.
So a 1st and goal after that 17-yard run by Caldwell. A big-time blitz off the edge by Omaha. Lindsey Burse and Kelsey Lane all over Caldwell.
That wasn't Caldwell, that was the offensive line. You have to get the defensive ends hands down on a quick pass like that. If not, they can knock this down all night long. 3-step drop, somebody's got to get those hands down.
It looked like maybe center Brittany Wilson missed her assignment, which was that young lady, Kelsey Lane. And Lane had a sure beat to Caldwell. The Chicago offense does have time for a couple more shots into the end zone.
Trips left gun, Y3, Z dig, running back 7. Right? Trips left gun, Y3, Z dig, running back 7.
Trips left gun.
What?
Yeah.
Trips left gun, off the ball.
They're on the line of scrimmage, so you're going to have to go fast.
This is great experience for Jane Caldwell. All the coaches talking to her. She called the play. She looks like a leader out there. I like this.
2nd and goal. Ball remains at the 9 of Omaha. Just under 20 seconds remaining in the half. This is Caldwell rolling right and losing her footing. Kelsey Lane in the backfield once again. And Chicago will have to call their final timeout.
Another great play by Omaha. Absolutely nothing there. Caldwell had nowhere to go, slipped for a big loss.
So that's Chicago's final timeout. They cannot stop the clock again. And with very little time left, you've got to take shots into the end zone if you're the Chicago offense.
Twins right gun, ace right, Y7, Z1, running back flat right, follow. All right, first down.
Trips?
No, twins right.
I want trips.
I think Coach Hack, he wanted the same formation they scored at Civilian before. Trips had her coming underneath. They didn't call that. He wasn't happy about it.
That's not a debate that Coach Hack usually loses. Jane Caldwell just looked at Keith Hack, talk about gaining confidence, and says, no, we're running this. A 3rd and goal. Caldwell into the flat. That was intended for Christelle Harris and deflected by Shalyn Durham.
Coach Hack is not going to like that. He was overruled by his quarterback, and that play looked terrible. Bad routes, bad everything.
4th and goal now, a little over 7 seconds remaining. Chicago out of timeout, so this pass has got to go into the end zone. Anything underneath is probably going to get stopped before the half.
unless they run that same runoff play with Civilian coming underneath where they run off the corner in safety, and she broke wide open.
This Omaha crowd trying to get behind their defense on a 4th and goal. This is Caldwell connecting with Civilian, and Civilian breaking through arm tackles into the end zone. Touchdown, Chicago.
Just a basic bang 8 quick post. She caught the ball on the 10-yard line, and 3 Hart players missed her. She had way more heart than the Omaha Hart defense. 1, 2, 3 players missed her, and she gets in the end zone. Just horrible defense.
How do you give up a touchdown with under 8 seconds remaining? That's just pure, you gotta want it more than the other team, and you don't see the want to from this defense.
Well, that's why you can tell who won the championship last year and who's trying to get in the playoffs. She caught the ball on the 10 and beat 3 defenders into the end zone.
Now the extra point attempt with no time on the clock. That was a poor snap by Brittany Wilson. So our score will remain 40-0. An Omaha team that has been embarrassed on both sides of the field.
Caldwell's got to concentrate on little things like that, the snap.
That'll bring us to the end of one half of play. Chicago comfortably up 40-0. Back with halftime.
Where's the heart team that I know? Where's your heart?
Let's go,
Where's your heart, okay?
Let's go, ladies.
Let's represent this team.
Let's go, ladies.
I want to be here. Let's go.
An emotional Kelsey Lane as we took you inside the Omaha Heart locker room and welcome you now back to halftime. Mitch Mortaza and Bobby Huco in a game that the Chicago Bliss are up very comfortably 40-0, and you saw the emotions inside the Omaha locker room. What stood out through one half of play?
Unquestionably, the quarterback, Jane Caldwell for Chicago, already 106 yards passing, 4 touchdowns in the first half, and running the ball, she has 37 yards to lead Chicago. Phenomenal first half for Caldwell.
Great play from Jane Caldwell. On the other side of the ball, that quarterback, Alex Drake, continues a nightmare season, only completing 3 of 13 passes in the first half for a mere 22 yards. So that begs the question, Bobby Huco, is Alex Drake an overrated quarterback, or does she simply lack the tools and weapons around her?
A little bit of both. I mean, she has the tools, she has the skills to play quarterback in the LFL, but she's not having a good year. In fact, 3 out of 13, that's not going to cut it in the LFL, but she does not have talent around her. In fact, at the wide receiver position, do you think any defensive coordinators are scared of those wideouts?
No, I don't think so. I don't think anybody's losing sleep over Lindsey Howell. There was some scoring in the first half of this one, not from the Omaha Heart, but from the Chicago Bliss, who lit up the scoreboard at Ralston Arena. Let's take a look at those first half scores. Early on, it was Jane Caldwell connecting with Tamar Fennell on a 35-yard touchdown reception. Then Caldwell was not done, completing a pair of touchdowns to Shabria Civilian, and then also connecting with Christelle Harris, the veteran, the Ferrari. On the ground, it was Javille Thompson on an 8-yard touchdown run. That brings us to our halftime score of 40-0 as we take a look at the first half stats.
This Omaha offense has simply been inept in the first half with only 59 total yards. Worse, they're putting their defense in tough situations, having to defend short fields against a very good Chicago offense. But again, Jane Caldwell has been the difference in this game, accounting for nearly all the offensive yardage for Chicago.
The Aussie Jane Caldwell and the Chicago Bliss are rolling. Will Omaha show some heart in the second half? Say it with me, kickoff is next.
LFL Mobile, giving you access to the gridiron goddesses of the LFL with exclusive photos, videos, live game reporting, and fan promotions. LFL Mobile. Download on your Android or iPhone.
Back to LFL football night, a beautiful night in Omaha, Nebraska, as we look at our starting quarterbacks.
Jane Caldwell had the best half as a quarterback for the Chicago Bliss. 4 out of 7, 4 touchdowns, 106 yards. And Alex Drake for Omaha, not that good. 3 out of 13, only 22 yards.
Drake has got to find some kind of momentum within this offense. And as we talked about at halftime, she just does not have the weapons to be able to do anything.
Well, that's it. We got on her hard because she came in with all her high accolades. She's going to be a great quarterback. She doesn't have any weapons around her. We'll see what happens next year, and then we'll grade her.
Dominique Collins with a low driving shank into the end zone. That is Lindsey Howe on the return. Also serves as the backup quarterback. There's the young Alex Drake, as we talked about, a lot of upside, but not seeing it here in 2017.
She's a competitor. I really like her attitude. As we mentioned, she has the skills. She's got to use this year, focus, help get better players recruited in her to Omaha, because they do have a nucleus, but they need to get together.
That's the one thing. The veterans that came back this past season, we heard Jacqueline Good talk about that. They need to return earlier in the offseason and build some chemistry here. Now an interesting set with Alex Drake flanked out as a wide receiver. That is a direct snap to Shalyn Durham. Not fooling anybody. This is one of the slower developing offenses I've seen in a long time.
Well, again, getting back to having an offensive coordinator and a quarterback, if this is the skill you have to adapt that, put in a West Coast short passing offense that you can use this talent with. Right now, they don't have any scheme.
They're trying to stretch the defense with slow offensive players like Shalyn Durham. I had to check the tape on that to see if that was slow motion or real time.
That looks slow motion. I don't like to play. I don't like to run. I don't like anything about that.
The scheme by Dante Allen not exactly working here. And I'm not sure what this is. A reverse to your quarterback, Alex Drake, who's arguably the slowest player on the field.
Not only slow, she was injured all year long. That's the last person you want running the football. You want to keep her in the game.
Now they do have some speed. Marissa Mitchell-Riley is one of the faster players in the LFL. You could make an argument for Lindsay Noble. Why aren't you utilizing some of that speed versus Shalyn Durham and Alex Drake?
Again, all coaching. You have to know your talent, maybe move them in a different position if you have that speed.
A 3rd and 5 carry by Shalyn Durham. That'll be good enough for an Omaha first down.
Shalyn Durham, that's the only bright spot tonight for this offense at Omaha. She hasn't had any breakaway runs, but she's getting 3, 4, 5, 6 yards a pop.
And with 4 downs, if you're moving the ball 3, 4 yards, you're going to get ultimately the prize. And Omaha talked about the prize for them being keeping that explosive Chicago offense off the field.
Absolutely, but right now they're just playing for pride. They just think you get it in the end zone to show they can score against Chicago.
A 2nd and 10 play. A great looking deflection by Dominique Collins.
Dominique Collins, game in and game out. She is all over receivers without getting called for pass interference. She blanketed that receiver, broke it up, but I love the way she plays cornerback.
Collins has always been a sure tackler, but over recent seasons has really worked on her coverage skills, and we saw that there. One of the better all-around corners in our game. Now a 2nd and 10 for the Omaha offense. That's Melissa Schmidt losing the ball and barely able to recover. That'll be a loss of 2 yards.
We spoke earlier about Tanya Jerome replacing Chantel Taylor, defensive end. What a great play, a strong rush. She broke right by the offensive tackle, stripped the ball. This is an outstanding opportunity for her to show herself. Chantel Taylor will be back for the playoffs, but right now Jerome's having a heck of a game.
Great youth here on Chicago. Spelling Yashi Rice and Chantel Taylor, Marissa Galladay, and Toya Jerome. This is Drake back to pass on a 3rd and 12, trying to buy time and throwing across her body. I believe they're going to call this an interception by Kristen Morrison.
Just a great athletic play by Morrison, and another bad play by Drake. She's running right now. Just take the loss, throw it away, do something. Don't come back across your body, across the field. That's going to get picked every time.
A costly turnover just when Omaha started moving the ball. And Kristen Morrison is just a robot. You could see them working on her wires. I don't think I've ever seen somebody do so much on a football field.
What I love is her speed. There is not anybody in the league playing middle linebacker with that speed. She's got running back speed.
Another poor snap exchange between Brittany Wilson and Jane Caldwell. We don't see that from Chicago. They're getting a bit of that Omaha bug.
You know what? That's fine against Omaha, but that's the little things. In the conference championship game coming up against Atlanta, that's how you lose football games right there. You have to get the snap.
It appeared that Jane Caldwell was not ready for the snap. So her and Wilson will have to get on the same page. Wilson is the first-year center. As you recall, Dina Fagiano spent some time at the center position, has since retired. So a lot of new pieces to this offense.
She is an absolutely great blocking center, but the little things like that, you have to concentrate on the snap. As I said, it's good in games like this, but you can't have that in the playoffs.
Get over here! Right here! Hey, right here! Wake up! Wake up! Don't start this shit in the second half, all right? The fucking play clock is good. You're taking too long in a huddle. Let's go!
Welcome to Chicago, Jane Caldwell. The Bliss leading it comfortably. Back to LFL football night as the Chicago Bliss on top. Mitch Mortaze and Bobby Huco on the call.
It's good to see Coach Keith Hack is back in action. He is fired up right now.
What do you think his blood pressure's at? That is Jane Caldwell. She's finding a lane into the end zone. How about the open field running of number 15? Touchdown, Chicago.
Throw me another marshmallow. Jane Caldwell is on fire tonight. She already has 4 touchdown passes and an unbelievable run for another one. You take them fumbled snaps out, and she's playing incredible football.
There was a flag on the play, but it was on Omaha. Chicago electing to obviously decline that penalty, and they'll be on top 46-0.
This is by far Jane Caldwell's best game ever as a Chicago quarterback.
I would say the best all-around performance in the LFL. I don't think I've ever seen her throw this well from the pocket, as well as do the damage that she's doing on the ground.
Her passing rating tonight with 4 touchdown passes has to be an all-time high.
That is a toss right, will not get there. Javille Thompson tackled in the open field by number 7, Melissa Schmidt.
Melissa Schmidt, that's what the rest of the team has to do. You can't quit. This game is over, but you're playing for a job on next year's team. I mean, Coach Dante Allen, he's got to keep his hardcore players, but then get rid of all the other spam that's not doing anything.
I'll tell you what, I like the blue-collar mentality of a Melissa Schmidt and Chelsea Hoffman, recent additions to this roster. If there's been one thing lacking in the DNA of Omaha, it's been a grit and a toughness. A lot of people compare most of this roster to a cheerleading camp.
Right now, you're 100% right. They need to get that fire back in them. They need a couple sparks on offense, but get rid of all the people who aren't helping you out.
That is a 1st and 10 run by Alex Drake. Taking a shot by Kristen Morrison. And that is not a good sign, as Alex Drake was holding on to that right knee. We've got Kristen Morrison mic'd up. Listen into this collision.
You hate to see this. Watch her leg. It gets caught under the foot of Morrison, and you can see it twist. I hope that's not bad, and you hate to see Alex Drake down again for the 3rd time this season.
That is not a good sign. This crowd holding its breath. When they signed number 16, this was the franchise quarterback. And I don't think I've seen a more disappointing season, injury-wise, and performance on the field than what's happened to Alex Drake in 2017.
Not a good year. You're hoping that she could have stayed injury-free, but having 70 operations myself, she could not put any pressure on that leg. That did not look good.
A 4-yard carry by Drake after being blown up against the wall. And now we get to see backup quarterback Lindsey Howell, who, when you want to talk about a tough backup, Lindsey Howell is a tough backup, but I wouldn't quite call her a quarterback.
Lindsey Howell is a backup athlete, we'll call her. She has heart, she plays hard, she throws okay, but you really don't want her playing quarterback. You know it's a bad situation if she's in the game.
We'll see if they're opening up the offense or just handing it off. There's the confidence in Howell. A handoff to Shalyn Durham. Durham will gain 2 yards. There goes your big comeback. I don't think you're going to be slinging it all over the field with Lindsey Howell.
No, you're not. You're going to be doing that little option game. She can throw underneath. She can't throw it deep. But Omaha just needs to get on the board. Get fired up about something. Get this crowd fired up about something. Right now, the best thing for Omaha was the beer cam at halftime.
I always lose track of you at halftime. Now I realize it's because of beer camp.
Beer cam is the best thing I've ever seen in any league. This crowd went nuts when the beer cam was on.
A 3rd and 4 for Lindsey Howell. She's going to keep it herself and instantly regretting it. Melissa Galladay and Kristen Morrison all over her.
This crowd, surprisingly, is staying here. They're down 46-0. We're deep into the 3rd quarter, but everybody's still. That tells you what kind of football crowd is in Omaha.
This is a blue-collar Nebraska Cornhusker town. The Omaha Heart, despite their struggles in recent years, still packs them in here at the Ralston Arena. They've got to turn this franchise around, though.
3 years ago, they had a solid football team that could beat anybody. The last couple of years, not so much, but they have talent here. Lindsey Howell is one of the ones that will be back.
4th and 5 connection. Speaking of Howell, a nice-looking completion to Shalyn Durham. We've seen Durham run that route all night into the flat. This time it's good enough for an Omaha first down.
We've seen that play earlier where Drake was late getting the ball out there. Lindsey Howell threw it quick. It wasn't a great pass, but it was quick, and it got there before Collins could get to the ball.
1st and 10 at the Chicago 15. This has been the closest this offense has been to pay dirt. And on the Chicago side, you know they'd love to preserve a shutout here.
Keith Hack, the defensive coordinator and head coach, you know he does not want to give up any points in his Omaha offense, especially with a backup quarterback in there.
A wildcat set by Omaha. That looks to be Lindsey Noble lined up at quarterback. Direct snap to Noble to the right side. A lot of slow speed getting to the outside. This offense is a very slow developing offense, and that spells disaster when you're up against an athletic, fast defense like Chicago.
Lindsey Noble, she has a history of playing a little bit of quarterback in the LFL over the years. She may actually made a great cut, but she ran right into her own player, Shalyn Durham, and really didn't get anything.
This should be the final play of the 3rd quarter. A 2nd and 8 for this offense at the Chicago 13-yard line. Obviously, the goal is not to come back and win this game. At this point, it's just to build some kind of momentum going into the offseason. And this offense is finally moving the ball. This is Howell with a crossing pattern. That one sailed over the head of Lindsey Noble with now under 20 seconds remaining.
Nobody open, not a good pass. She threw it into coverage. Luckily did not get picked off, but you're right. They need momentum going into next year. Get some points in the board against this tough Chicago defense.
Omaha's offense electing to not run another play. That'll officially bring us to the end of the 3rd quarter. Chicago up 46-0.
LFL Mobile, giving you access to the gridiron goddesses of the LFL with exclusive photos, videos, live game reporting, and fan promotions. LFL Mobile. Download on your Android or iPhone.
I don't want to show it. Don't do it. Just play normal. Just normal. Normal cover 1. Don't jump. Normal cover. These guys, we're giving them a free 5. They can't even fucking do anything with it.
Head coach Keith Hack of Chicago, as we welcome you back to LFL football night. The hometown Omaha Heart trailing this one 46-0.
Trust me, Keith Hack is a competitor. He doesn't give anything for free to anybody. He does not want these guys in his end zone.
Lindsey Howell watching that clock as 10 minutes remain here in the season for Omaha, and an opportunity to get some good game film together here headed into the offseason. A 3rd and 8 from the shotgun. Another poor snap. Howell had no opportunity there. That is the good-looking rookie, Marissa Galladay, once again getting into the backfield.
We haven't spoken much about Marissa Galladay, but Coach Keith Hack said she has such a high ceiling, he wouldn't be surprised to see her nominated for Defensive Rookie of the Year this year.
Galladay expected to get a Defensive Rookie of the Year nomination. As we said, with Chantel Taylor coming back, that is a pair of great-looking defensive ends.
Great defensive ends, and it's a backup. Jerome playing an outstanding game tonight. They're loaded at that position.
After that 5-yard loss of 4th and 13. And look at that Chicago defense get after Lindsey Howell. Pass falling incomplete as Chicago will take over.
Tonya Jerome, she came off the edge. Her wingspan is unbelievable. One of the longest in the league. She was all over the quarterback. The play had no chance of getting a first down. Now the ball goes back to Caldwell.
Here's where Chicago has got to start thinking about pulling some of its starters with another game next week versus Denver before that August 20th matchup versus the Atlanta Steam. A 1st and 10, and they're going to call that a fumble. Heavy pressure put on Jane Caldwell, and this will be a fumble.
Lindsey Burrs coming strong off the edge. Chrisdell Harris couldn't get over in time to make the block. Didn't look like a fumble to Keith Hack. He's challenging it.
Hey, ref! Hey, she was shuffle. It was a shuffle pass. Yeah.
I'll let him know.
Yeah.
Hey, y'all got that ball.
It was a shuffle pass.
I'm not sure what the shuffle pass is, but if Coach Hack is saying it was a shovel pass, I'm not sure I saw a complete movement of the wrist. It looked like Jane Caldwell. That's indeed what Chicago is doing. Head referee Joe Mackey getting back to the call. It looked like Caldwell just lost control of the ball.
I think you might be right. This is one of their pet plays. A shovel pass underneath to the Ferrari. She gets hit before I think her arm's going forward. I think that was a fumble.
The play on the field was called a fumble. We'll get the ruling here from Joe Mackey shortly, as it looks like he's made his decision. We'll see if the play stands. They confirm that it was a fumble. They'll take a timeout away from Chicago. So Omaha finally landing a break.
The signage that's coming around, I can't judge whether or not zooming in, whether or not passing.
Well, hey, watch the 4 in the box.
It's on me calling from the backside.
You got to love Keith Hack. He knew he was wrong on that, but before the referee walked away, he said to watch how many guys they have in the box. He's always trying to get the ref on his side.
Finally, great field position for this offense, and another poor snap. That ball is still loose. That looks to be recovered by Omaha. Lindsey Burse, who was also serving as the center, getting back to recover that fumble.
This is getting really ugly. They have Lindsey Burse playing center now because Robinson's hurt, and she can't get it back to the quarterback. Just ugly offense right now for Omaha.
Burse spelling Sarah Robinson, who's their starting center, out with injury. We saw Robinson having her problems in the first half, connecting with Alex Drake. And now Burse struggling at that center position. A 2nd and 20. This delayed handoff to Marissa Mitchell-Riley. And that was a congregation of the entire Chicago defense. That'll be a gain of 2 yards.
You mentioned Mitchell-Riley earlier in the game about her speed. You got to be looking toward next year. I like that she's in the backfield. Give her the football.
Kristen Morrison with a great tackle on Mitchell-Riley. I don't want to start projecting too early. We still have another regular season game with Chicago. But I love the athletic matchup of Atlanta versus this defense. Boy, is that going to be a joy to watch on August 20th. This is Lindsey Howe looking across the middle. Nearly intercepted by Kim Perez.
Should have been intercepted by Kim Perez. She was looking at the receiver. The ball came right to her. That should be Chicago football. I don't want to say Omaha's given up, but right now there's no fire in this team.
Well, you can't do much with Lindsey Howe. And then you compound that with Howell being your #1 receiver, not out in the formation. So now you really have no one to throw to.
Nobody to throw to, and you don't have a quarterback can throw. I really hope Alex Drake is not hurt bad and can come back without any problems next year.
Yeah, I think she's ruled out of this game the way she was carried off the field, and really no reason for her to return and risk more injury, especially with this kind of center play. Another poor snap. Chicago will take over on the Omaha side of the field.
You can hear a lot of boos right now, and you hate to hear that because you mentioned this Omaha crowd is a very intelligent football crowd. They know football, but they know bad football too.
Yeah, this has been a horrible product now for 3 years. At some point, the league will probably step in and move this franchise if it doesn't improve.
They need a couple players, Drake to get healthy, and maybe next year, because they have the crowd here. The people are behind them.
A first down handoff. That is the Ferrari getting into the end zone. And probably the only time we have seen her smile all night, up into the crowd.
You gotta love Chicago fans here in Omaha, but you don't pull on Superman's cape. Watch this run and the fire the Ferrari has. It might be good that she's upset at the Chicago coaching staff. She looks like a rookie right there, the way she burst in the end zone.
She's still in phenomenal shape. This is Christelle Harris's 7th year in the league, and she looks as good, if not better, than she did in 2010 physically.
That burst right there, they're up 52-0 now. That burst was like her rookie year. Bam, she was in the end zone so quick.
That is an extra point attempt, and we've got a fight out on the field. That's Brittany Wilson getting into it.
Hey, you want to touch my fucking center? I'm fighting, guys.
Jane Caldwell. We didn't expect to see that, saying if you're going to get after my center, you're going to have a price to pay.
You gotta love that. She's got a lot of Brett Favre in it. It's like anybody on that offensive line, you mess with her, you're messing with my people. I'm gonna get in your face.
Joe Mackey getting very busy here late in the second half.
What the fuck are you doing? Walk away from that shit. Don't get involved. You, of all people, walk away. All right?
There are 2 fouls. Pass interference on the defense. Number 14. At the distance to the goal. After the play. Dead ball. Once more to Mike Linda. Number 15 on the offense. That penalty 10 yards from the spot of the first foul. We'll retry.
So the unsportsmanlike call on Chicago will push the ball back, but because it was offsetting, Chicago will get another shot at the extra point.
Keith Hack says he doesn't like that, but deep down when he's by himself, he loves that because the team knows their quarterback is behind him.
That is Jane Caldwell. They'll have to get it into the end zone. Throwing and completing. That was to Allie Alberts, cannot stretch across the goal line. So this Omaha defense finally holding.
Jane Caldwell delivering a strike under pressure. You can see her growing. Watch this. She's got all kinds of heat. She stays in the pocket, throws the only place Alberts can catch it, and almost gets it in for points.
It appeared that that ball may have been thrown a little behind Alberts. If she hits her in stride, I don't know that Alberts doesn't get that in.
Well, I think she hits her in stride. She gets crushed. Throwing it behind her, she has to stop, come back and get the ball, and doesn't get hit head on.
Melissa Schmidt was indeed waiting on Alberts. That could have been quite the collision. Al going back to work. Obviously, Alex Drake done for the night. The big question is going to be this offseason, can Alex Drake get healthy? Especially, we're getting early reports that it may be an ACL. An ACL will take you out almost 6 months.
I hope it's not an ACL. I mean, that could be the worst that you could ever expect on that play right there, but she couldn't put pressure on it. I did notice that. She could not walk on it.
Hal just chucking it up and intercepted. Allie Alberts, that is the easiest interception she'll pick up.
This is where teams have to have a quarterback coach. Even though Hal's the backup, you can't do this. You just can't throw it up in the air, throw a duck up in the air to Allie Alberts. You're never going to win games like that.
Lindsey Hal just intimidated. We heard her when she went into the Pittsburgh game a few weeks back saying she was literally scared. Look, Lindsey Howell is a great person. I've had an opportunity to talk to her. Is she a football player? I don't think so.
Or quarterback. I don't know if she's a quarterback. She's a competitor. She likes to compete. But right there, that's all coaching. And on the other side of the ball, defensive back coach Myron Knox, he has Allie Alberts playing like a center fielder, just waiting for balls like that.
A 1st and 10 handoff. That'll go to Javille Thompson. And Thompson breaking through arm tackles into the second layer of the defense. A 9-yard run by Thompson.
Thompson running like it's the first quarter. The Omaha defense tackling like they're ready for the offseason.
Setting up now a 2nd and 1 ball at the Omaha 2-yard line. I tell you what, Javille Thompson and Shabria Civilian, they look like carbon copies of one another. Same stature, same size, Same kind of explosive ability, not to say the least of a Tamar Fennell. That threesome is the best in the league.
Dangerous, pure dangerous. Any one of them, every time they touch the ball, they can score.
A 2nd and goal now, ball at the 2-yard line. JaVale Thompson remaining in the backfield, will get the handoff. A lot of traffic. Not going to get there this time, but we do have a penalty flag. That was a good-looking tackle by Christine Black. And a lot of jawing between these two. They've played a lot of football over the last couple years and simply do not like one another.
They don't like each other, but a lot of frustration on the Omaha side.
That's backup wide receiver Leah Fire being called for the holding call. If you're getting limited playing time, you better not be caught holding, especially with Keith Hack being your head coach.
Going into the playoffs, you're right, you won't see the field. If you make plays like that, you're seeing limited time coming in late in the game. You're in there to make plays, not move your team backwards.
And there's Christelle Harris, despite the touchdown. You could see visibly not happy on the sidelines. And at times, she's been clearly distant. You could see right there, off to the side. I really think it's just a matter of time. It's not if, it's a matter of time before she signs on with another roster. This is Jane Caldwell trying to walk it in. That's not going to happen. Lindsey Burse has been one of the bright spots on this Omaha team, despite some poor center play. Has been all over the field defensively.
Trips left, veer left. What's that? Trips left, veer left? Trier left, no, trips left. Veer right. The other lineman release. Oh, X release. X release.
That is why Keith Hack is a defensive coordinator and head coach. Clearly not an offensive coordinator with that play call.
And Jim Bruner was looking over at him. He's like, what play exactly are you wanting to call here?
I think he drew it up on the dirt. It's like, okay, you go that way, then you release on the other side.
1st and 10. We've got another penalty here. I'm not sure you can pin that on Jane Caldwell or Jim Bruner, the offensive coordinator. Keith Hack deciding to tip his toes in the offensive play calling, and it really delayed the process there a bit.
And you notice Jim Brewer didn't say one word to him about that either.
A 3rd and 11. Caldwell has a receiver. That is Hightower. High stepping it into the end zone. Touchdown, Chicago.
That's why Keith Hack is a great head coach. He saw weakness in that Omaha defense. They're up 52-0. He could have just said nothing. He said, hey, call this play, it's going to work. Wide open, great call by Hack.
How appropriate. Dina Hightower, standing at 6 feet tall. That is a nice looking target for Jane Caldwell.
They keep bringing them in. It's crazy. Every year, that's what Omaha has to do. All these teams, Chicago does it every year. They get better and better.
You're referring to recruiting. There's no better recruiting franchise in the LFL than the Chicago Bliss. A very deep roster. And there's Dina Hightower again. That'll be good for the 2-point conversion, and Chicago on top now, 60-0. Back to LFL football night, and next week we head to the Windy City as the Chicago Bliss host the Denver Dream.
We spoke about it in pregame. Another tune-up for Chicago going into that conference championship against Atlanta. The question's going to be, how long do you play your key starters like Caldwell? The last thing you want is for your quarterback to get nicked up going into the playoffs.
Another low snap to Lindsay Noble. That is complete in the flat to Kayla Wegman. Getting back to your point, injuries has got to be a big concern. I'm looking out on that field right now, at least defensively, and it looks like that is Chicago's starting defensive unit out there.
As a head coach, I mean, you remember Peyton Manning. They made the playoffs when he was with the Colts. They held him out of the last game, and they played terrible in the playoffs. Do you play their starter or what?
That is the million-dollar question. Lindsay Noble, they're trying to connect with Lindsay Howell, but getting back to your point, that's a tough dilemma to be in as a head coach when you're trying to go back-to-back Legends Cups and win the 3 out of the last 4 Legends Cup. You got to keep your people healthy, but you got to also keep them sharp. So if they're going to stay sharp, that means they got to play against Denver next week.
That's what I would do. If I was head coach Keith Hack, I'd play my starters at least half the game, like you said, to keep the knives sharp. If they get rusty and don't play, that's not good. You got to keep them playing a little bit.
That's Lindsay Noble just trying to run out the time here and losing the ball, recovering her own fumble. Yeah, I think if you're Chicago, much like most NFL teams, you got to play at least a half of football with your starters. Denver was a team that they beat earlier in the season 93-6, so certainly not a game in doubt, but it's a game, it's basically a glorified scrimmage. I know we're not exactly selling the game next week, but that's what it is.
There's no question they should beat Denver, but you got to play the game, and I'd say Hack will at least play them half the game. Hack, he might play them the whole game, who knows?
Chicago really hasn't been tested this season with the exception of the Atlanta Steam, their second game of the year. They did beat Atlanta 34-27, but outside of that, I mean, there's not been a lot of great competition. They played Denver, and now they're playing Omaha. They wrapped the season, as we said, with Denver.
Just throw the ball. Nobody's open. They were all open. Just so you're worried about what's coming at you than reading what's happening. All you got to do is let the ball go. All your crossers were waiting on you just to throw it. That's it. But you were so worried about the rush.
Dante Allen was right on. In fact, when Alex Drake was in the game, she was the same way. The problem is when you get beat up that much, instead of looking down the field at the coverage, you're looking at who's coming at you, defensive end. You're worried about the rush first. He's 100% right.
With under a minute remaining, this should be a victory formation for Chicago and take us to the end of this game, score being 60-0. That is indeed what Chicago's lined up for. A 1st and 10 at about the 14-yard line. Jane Caldwell taking a knee. We do have a report of a late injury on the Chicago side. Starting left tight end, Meg Gamble. They're thinking she may have broken her leg.
See, that's what I'm talking about. The reason you don't play people next week, because you can't have that. You don't want your starters getting hurt going into the playoffs. That's a huge loss if that's true.
Meg Gamble, we saw her blocking up front. Arguably the best front line player on this roster. We'll certainly get medical reports throughout the week, and we'll see. Obviously, she is out of the Denver game next week, you would think, as the final seconds tick off here in Omaha.
If you're head coach Keith Hack, the one thing that you bring out of this game is the quarterback, Jane Caldwell, and her development. Without those snaps, yeah, she fumbled some snaps, she played outstanding football and was a great leader on the field.
Jane Caldwell silencing the critics tonight, throwing for 5 touchdowns and no interceptions.
5 touchdowns, only 5 completions, all for points. That's outstanding. She ran the ball good leadership. She defended her teammates in a fight. I liked everything she did on the field.
And for Omaha, if this franchise gets another opportunity in 2018, they have really got to take advantage of it, because you got to factor the league is weighing their options of not coming back to Omaha. The football has been that bad.
You're playing your last home game of the year against the defending champs at home in front of your people. You do not want to get beat 60-0 like this.
That'll do it for us here from Omaha, Nebraska, in a game that the Chicago BLISS dominated both on the offensive and defensive side of the ball, en route to yet another Legends Cup run. For my partner, Bobby Huco, this is Mitch Mortaza. We will see you next week from the Windy City for LFL Football Night.